These are the most important players on the football team that people aren't talking about. We're doing that next, plus all of your questions, Q&A show, Locked On Badgers. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which thank you for making that the #1 sports podcast network. Today's episode brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Have your cake and drink it too. Birthday cake flavor is back, no fork needed. Vanilla cakey flavor, caffeinated cake, no sugar. It's party time now only at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Today's episode, Q&A show, basketball thoughts, new rotations with an injury to a key rotational player, receiver discussion, who's going to lead this team in receptions, hidden MVPs. This is all of your Discord and Twitter questions. We did a call for Q&As. We're not going to get to all of them because we get a bunch of great questions. But when you're in the chat on this, if you have answers to these questions, throw them up there as well. And we're going to jump right into it. We got Rajiv here from the Discord. Rajiv, first question from Brian Shetty. Who, and by the way, thank you for everybody submitting questions, Twitter, Discord. We're going to get to as many of them as we can. Who will be the MVP of offense and defense this year other than the quarterback and the two inside linebackers?
It's a good one. Offensively, I'm going to have to go with Abu Sama just because I think he is going to have the line should be better. He should have a productive year for us. The dude's played big time college football. There's no reason to think he won't be successful with us. So I'm going Abu Sama on the offensive side. For me, defensively, probably you look at Marvin Burks as the guy that you would think would do the best. But honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if one of the new cornerbacks, like a Javon Robinson, potentially is a guy that could be the MVP. But yeah, I mean that's much more difficult because obviously you want to go with the inside linebackers.
I love both yours. We're going to agree on defense, so I'll start there. I think to me, Marvin Burks is the first choice. That was one of the prize additions. It also fixes a huge hole that this team had. Fixes a massive hole potentially if it works out. He's an adult in the room, SEC guy, measurables, production. He checks just about every box you're looking for in the portal. So Marvin Burks Jr. Offense, I'm going to go Kawecki. I think the guy you're not talking about or people aren't talking about, I love Sama, but I think you have a rotation at running back that makes sense. I think Sama's probably the lead dog there. But man, we needed a pivot. Somebody who can just be in the center, snap the ball, and then not hurt themselves. Right? Can we just have a center who snaps the ball and then doesn't hurt themselves?
But is that going to make him an MVP, though?
Yes. He's the hidden. Yes. Having somebody set the interior of the offensive line where that makes your guards better. That makes your tackles better. That sets a protection for your quarterback. I think I'm going to go Kawecki on this one as the offensive MVP that we're not talking about. But I like the Sama pick too.
I mean, I like it. It's going to be difficult for the center. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting that we're both looking at transfers, right? We talked about Sama, we talked about Kawecki, we talked about Burks, we talked about Robinson. They're all transfers, which, I mean, it's almost like, is it wishful thinking that these transfers are going to be great? We hope so, but we need them to be. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting.
I love that you just said that part because it dovetails so perfectly into the next question from Northwoods. Wishful thinking? Who's the one player you're probably too high on in football? I'll start here. I think it's probably Marvin Burks Jr. for me, who I just tabbed as the MVP. I am putting a lot on him. I'm putting a lot on Marvin Burks Jr. to help fix the back end of the secondary. I don't think we've had great consistent safety play across both positions for several years. We've had one player and then one question mark or two question marks or too much youth or not enough athleticism. And I'm really expecting Marvin Burks Jr. to step right in and fix a lot of that. Here's two things that worry me that I might be too high on him. The first is I got some iffy feedback from Missouri people who cover the team. I talked to him, and he said specifically, this is a guy he has traits, but he bites too much. He's too aggressive, bites on play action, probably more of an in-the-box guy. That worries me a little bit because I'm hoping he's not a safety that has to play in the box. The other thing that worries me a little bit, Rajiv, and I've been thinking about this, safeties with his size and his physical ability usually don't stick around in college till they're a senior. Those guys usually leave a little early. As big as he is and as talented as he is, why is he still in college with that physical profile? So I'm going to go with Burks on this one for me.
So just to your last point, I think that nowadays that argument can be changed with the age of NIL. So I think people will stay longer just because they know they have a chance to improve their draft stock a little bit, but also, hey, like I'm going to take this money while I'm here. It's not like I'm not getting paid to play. So that's that one. For me, it's probably Eugene Hilton. I mean, as a guy that I'm a big fan of, very happy that he's back. I just expect him to take that big step next year and to be our probable top wide receiver. Is he going to be that? I don't know. I know that you disagree with me a little bit on this one. I think that I'm probably a little bit too high on him just because of the expectations that I had for him when he came into school. Decent for first year, but obviously bad quarterback play. We don't really know what he has. I expect him to have a good season. I really do. But it also wouldn't surprise me if he didn't take the jump that I sort of expect him to take. He did test the waters in the SEC a little bit, and I think there were schools that were interested in him. Is he coming back because he didn't get what he wanted out of them? Is he coming back because maybe they didn't think his physical profile was good? I don't know. But I'm probably a little bit too high on him. Yeah,
I think that's fair. And I think the reasons you're high on him makes sense to me, right? I think he has an interesting skill set. He has a pedigree of a dad that played at a high level. I think that matters. But I could see him taking another year of being a little underwhelming against fan expectations. I can see that.
We should put this comment up here. Tyler Schreiber, which I think he's answering this question. I think it's fair. He says, Haywood coming off injury, and we act like he's a proven commodity. He's not. I like him, but to act like he's a solid left tackle this year is being overstated. I think this is a very fair point. We do tend to talk about Kevin Haywood as an automatic left tackle starter, a guy that the last time we saw him play, he was a physical specimen his freshman year. He looked really good, but he also was an unproven guy that clearly needed to work, which I think he has, and then he's taken the year off. I'm still high on him, but I do think this is a very fair take, and I think it's okay for Badger fans to be like, ooh, are we really set at left tackle? I think we are. I think most people think we are, but I understand if people are a little bit trepidatious on Kevin Haywood, because after all, it is an ACL tear. It's not like a simple injury. It's a big deal, and a lot of people struggle to come back from that. So I think this is a fair point and a good comment from Tyler.
Yeah, Tyler, as usual, good comments, good thoughts. And I'll add to your point, the injury aside, this is still his first real game reps. Even if he's everything we think he's going to be, like everything we think he's going to be, there's going to still be youth struggles. There's still going to be struggles of, I haven't seen this speed, or I haven't had a snap on the road in Iowa. This is different. I'm going to false start. Like there's still going to be those type of things. I think that's super fair. On defense, Steve Nebone says Poyser. I kind of agree with this one too. I'm not quite as high on Poyser and some of the defensive line guys coming in as maybe Justin is or some other people are. I think that's a very fair one as well. Really good comments as always from people in the chat. Rajiv, let's do this one. Last year's Badgers, and we're going to jump around to different football, basketball. This is kind of a smorgasbord. I threw this on Twitter. I love this question. I got a bunch of comments from everybody covering the team to people on BTN. Last year's Badgers basketball team versus this year's Badgers basketball team. 7-game series. Rajiv, who wins?
So this is interesting, and I was certainly one of those people that commented as well. This is difficult for me because obviously you look at a guy like Steven Crowd, John Tonje last year, incredible. But this year, Nick Boyd has been an absolutely electric. You also have a better Nolan Winter this year than you did last year. I think it's really close, but I still give the edge to this year just a little bit because of Nick Boyd. There is no one on last year's team that's stopping Nick Boyd. Like he is going to get that left-handed layup as often as he wants. We know that because we give up straight drives this year. We gave up straight line drives last year. So who's stopping Nick Boyd? This is a better shooting team, I think, overall, more lethal from behind the three-point line. Yes, you're losing the inside presence at the 5 with Crowd, but you have a better Winter, a more experienced Blackwell. I'm probably in the minority in this, but I'm still taking this year's team in 7.
I'm taking last year's in 6. And I hear the Nick Boyd comment. I agree. I don't know who on last year's team. I think you put Klesman and Kamar McGee on him and pray. Like it's not a great matchup. I think Boyd's going to get his. But I would counter by who guards John Tonje. Who on this team guards John Tonje, right? And then I think you have the front court of Crowell and Winter, younger Winter, but Crowell and younger Winter against Winter and Rapp or Bialuskas. I think that's a massive mismatch. I also like last year's bench just a little bit more. I like Gilmore, Amos, you have Kamari McGee. I think it's a better, more versatile bench. I think it's a little more athletic. So not a rollover. I don't think last year's team rolls this year's team, but I'm going to take last year in 6. I think Tonje in the front court and deeper.
I also think you have to factor in the Braden Carrington discussion when you talk about defense. He is a better defender than a lot of the people that we had on the team last year. He would be who I would look at to guard John Tonje because I think he could do a job. Listen, John Tonje was amazing. He's going to get his points. But I honestly, I feel like Nick Boyd could score 40 a night in these games. Like, he's just going to go off. Who's going to stop him?
I don't think Carrington puts up much resistance to Tonje. Much in the same way, I don't think Klesmit necessarily, I think that's as much of a mismatch putting Carrington on Tonje as it is putting Klesmit on Boyd. I think those are just both mismatches. Credit to both players. I like Carrington a lot. It would be fun to see. And if we could meld the two of those teams together and take the best of each, we'd have a Final Four team.
Yeah.
Steve Kneebone says, who could stop Tonje? Mitch James says Carrington could be a difference maker. So some points on both sides of this for sure. Both fun teams, and it's an interesting discussion. We're going to take a break there. We're going to come back. Rajiv, who is going to lead the team in receptions next year? Who are the top three in order? Yes. That's going to be a good one. We're going to do that next on Locked On Badgers. First, a quick second for our friends of the show. Quick second, as always, to say thank you for tuning into Locked On Badgers. Today's episode brought to you by our great friends over at 5 Hour Energy. 5 Hour Energy is absolutely incredible, and now we are doing the 5 Hour Energy flavor draft with over 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy. There's something for everybody. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and I've got my number one pick for the 5 Hour Energy flavor draft ready to go. Give me the cherry. Classic, bold, tart, red profile. I'm all about the cherry, 100%. I'm all in on it. It's a classic. It's still great. It's a flavor I've had a lot. That is absolutely my 5 Hour Energy number one draft pick. But you could also go with a sweet flavor, maybe like Confetti Craze, something like that. If you want to get a little out of the box, have some fun with it. 5 Hour Energy shots give you boost with zero sugar. Find your new favorite flavor of 5 Hour Energy shots, available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Today's episode also brought to you by our incredible partners over at FanDuel. Have you ever wanted to go to the NBA Finals in person? Incredible basketball event, incredible basketball experience. And you can do it live with somebody else. FanDuel's giving you the chance to turn your dreams into a reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That includes flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board, trying to figure out which team could make that deep run, now is the perfect time to lock it in. And futures this time of the year are great. Picking the games to win the championship, the title, conference title, whatever it is, it adds an extra layer of excitement. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Rajiv, we teased it, man. Who on this team is going to lead the squad in receptions? This is a very interesting year for the receiver room. Papa Rob asked, list the top 5 pass catchers. I'm going to narrow it down because there's 2 of us. Give me your top 3 in order of receptions.
I think it's your turn to go first. I'm curious where you are.
I'll do it. So my top 3 in order, I think I'm going to go with Zion Kearney, who I've heard good things about. I like him better for yards, though. I don't love him to lead the team in receptions, but this is hard. I'm going to go Kearney, Hilton, who I am with you. I think Hilton takes a step and is an important part of this offense. I think they brought him back for a reason. I think he came back for a reason. Kearney, Hilton, and then Domingo. I think somebody that had 40, 50 catches last year, has played 3 years of ball. Obviously, Southeastern Louisiana, he has to take a step up, but I like the frame. I like the production. This is the type of player I feel like Kurt Signetti would go and say, look at the production. We're going to go find somebody who's produced for multiple years, has the physical tools. So give me Kearney. I'm going to go Hilton, Kearney, Domingo. I'm going to flip it up a little bit, but those are my 3.
So I'm going to go Hilton 1. I'm going to go Grant Steck in there.
Okay.
I feel like tight end is going to be a critical position for us. And I just feel like Steck is going to take a big jump next year. And then I will go Domingo because I also like Domingo. Ooh, actually, no, I kind of want to go Rigby. Yeah, I think I'm going to go Rigby. So I'm going to go Hilton, Steck, Rigby because I am high on Rigby and I feel like he's getting undervalued in this portal class. He's been around different schools, but he's got good experience at the D1 level. That's my 3. So I guess Hilton's the only one that we really agree on.
Yeah, I mean, I think we both like Domingo, and I don't hate the Rigby inclusion. Rigby is somebody I could definitely see in there. Aiden Meyer says in pure reception numbers, he has Steck number 1, Hilton 2. And then Steve Kneebone says Coleman, 20 catches for over 350 yards. And Tyler Strieber also has Steck in his. I just don't see Steck. That would be very surprising to me for two reasons. Can I tell you the two reasons why it would? I think Harris is the better receiving tight end that they brought in. Harris had 5 touchdowns last year. I think he's a little more athletic. I think he has a bigger frame. Steck is more of an inline guy, and I would be surprised if he ran enough routes, quite frankly, to lead the team or be top 3 in receptions. I really like him, but I think Harris might be more of a receiving threat at tight end.
Maybe, but I mean, we saw Steck run some decent routes last year. We saw him get out there. Not saying he had a ton of catches, but I do think that, like, with a better quarterback, like all those numbers that we looked at last year, it's like they're all like kind of, you have to throw them out the window a little bit because you can't really rely on the numbers because of the quarterback. So I do feel like Steck is going to he just seems like a guy who's taken a leap. I've heard some things that he's just really working hard. He's working out well. Like, I like what I'm hearing about him in general. And yeah, I mean, you're right. Look, and if it's Harris and if it's someone else who's not going to get those routes, fine. But I think Steck kind of emerges as that top tight end threat all around, takes a big leap, and can really get us those numbers. Because I guess my number one point is a tight end is going to be in that top 3 for me. So if you want to say Harris over Steck, I could hear that argument, but I think you have to include a tight end in that group.
I don't hate that. Emmett Bork, another guy the staff is really high on. They really like the redshirt freshman. I had a quick thought, and I don't want to take the entire time of this conversation, but I think the inclusion of Steck fascinates me. If Steck leads the team in receptions, I don't think that's a good sign to me, because Steck's receptions are going to be in the 5 to 15 yard range. So to me, that feels like an offense that I think for this team to be really good, a receiver needs to be the leading receptions guy because it's going to generate more big plays.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to lead in receptions, but I think top 3 for a tight end in a Jeff Grimes offense is pretty reasonable to think about. I mean, Mason, what was last year? Where did Mason finish last year in receptions? I don't know.
Mason led us in receptions, didn't he?
Okay, did he? I think he might have. Yeah. So I mean, I feel like that, and that's
also said don't pay attention to last year.
Well, but what okay, fair point. That's reasonable. But in a Jeff Grimes system, we know that he likes his tight ends. We know that he likes to run different meshes and get them open. So I feel like it would be odd if a tight end wasn't in our top 3. I think that's where I'm going with it. So that's why I'm putting Steck down there. And I don't think it's a bad thing if Steck is in that top 3. I mean, if he takes a step, and I mean he's an athletic guy. I'm not saying he's super athletic, but he does have the skills. And if it's, I think it's fair.
Oh, fair take. Again, we don't have to agree on everything, and that's great. Actually, disagreements are phenomenal, and I get the logic behind your point. A2 Badger, I like this one. This is one you pointed up that you like too. A2 Badger says, if the Badgers are 6-5 going into the X game, does Luke Fickell need to win to keep his job from A2 Badger?
You better believe he needs to win that. Abso-frickin-lutely. If you're 6-5 going into that game, which is a very distinct possibility, you have to beat Minnesota for multiple reasons. One, to me, that 7 mark is a must for Luke Fickell, because if we're going to take that step, we've invested in the program, we've got a lot of better players, we've got our quarterback, all these things happen. And if you have another subpar year, it just doesn't work for Luke Fickell. And so 6-6, I think, that's that line of maybe. But if it's 6-5 going into Minnesota and you lose that game, that's the game that all Badger fans remember. Yes, you can lose it and still be bowl eligible, but that's not good enough. You've got to take a step and beat a team like Minnesota this year. We have better talent than we had last year, and we stuck by him. Not we, but the university stuck by him during all these tumultuous times and the Fire Fickell chant and everything. You've got to get it done against Minnesota. I firmly believe that 7 is the number that I think the athletic department is going to need for him to keep his job before they pay that lesser buyout number. So yeah, he has to win that game.
Is that your opinion, or is that what you think the school will do?
I think that's what the school. I think, because we talked about this on our Fact or Fiction show last week. I really believe that based on our schedule and based on the fact that the money that was put into this roster, clearly, that's why you've got to get to 7, because the schedule just does not. It's not that difficult. You can't go out there and have another subpar season. And I think 7 is the magic number here. 7 is what he needs, and that's for me and for the university.
So I'll just answer this quick, because you are right. We kind of talked about this Fact or Fiction. I agree with you. I don't think the school will fire him if he wins 6 games and gets to a bowl game. So I don't think the school will fire him. I think they will ride with it. They'll say there was an improvement. We got to a bowl game. I personally agree with you. If he goes 6-6 and you lose that last one to Minnesota, that's not good enough with the resources put into this program and this year's schedule. It's not good enough. I don't think the school will look at it that way.
I just think that losing to Minnesota like that for a third straight year, I mean, at some point you've got to cut bait with someone who can't get over that. It's Minnesota, for God's sakes. It's not a team that's some juggernaut. Like, we don't play Michigan or Ohio State at the end of our season. We play Minnesota. We have to be able to win that game once in 3 years. You can't have this continued loss to our rival. It hurts everything. Everything from fan support to recruiting. You can't do that. And if you've already lost 5 games with our schedule and then you come into Minnesota and you don't get it done, I think a line has to be drawn.
So again, I don't disagree with you on this at all. Like, I think year 4, you have to be better than this. I think this school doesn't want to pay a buyout. I think they're interested in the alignment between the AD and the head coach, and I don't think the AD is going anywhere. I think those are still real things that haven't changed, for what it's worth.
So just for the sake of discussion, sorry to belabor this, but if you were to look a year out from that, okay, so let's say that happens. We finish 6-6, we lose to Minnesota. He keeps his job, per what you're saying. He does it again the following year. Like, I'm just saying, at what point do you think at any point that they're finally gonna be like, no, you just can't keep losing that game and having these six win seasons?
Listen, it's a great question. And again, just not to be the belabor, I would be with you on this.
Right.
I think after this, if you can't show more than a couple game improvement and beat Minnesota or win 7 or 8 games but lose to Minnesota, that's fine too, right? There's multiple ways to get to what I think you need to do this year. I would move on. I'm with you. I think maybe after next year, like, I still think this university from the administration on down does believe that Luke Fickell could be the guy. And I think they want to ride it out. I don't think they want to make a move. I don't think they want to pay the buyout. So I think after this year, if it happens again, next year would be the litmus test. And then they would move on after next year if there was not improvement next year to where we want it to be. And I reiterate, because I can already see people in the comments that are going to like call me out on this. I agree with you that you have to win 7 games this year with this schedule and this roster and the money you put into it. You have to. You're not going to have an easier Big Ten schedule. 100% agree with you. I just don't know if the school thinks that way.
Tyler brought up a good point about the new chancellor. Like, that, there is going to be a new administration now with Mnuchin leaving for some Ivy League school. I think it was Columbia. I don't remember, but
Columbia. Yep.
That's an interesting point too. So, like, where does that leave things with the athletic department? And do we have someone else who comes in and says, no, I'm not going to deal with this? But obviously, we don't know that. But that is something that's kind of an X factor here as well.
Well, that's a complete wild card. To your point and to Tyler's point, if you have a certain type of person that comes in and says, we're gonna go all in, we're gonna win, that's not good enough. But even new chancellors are probably going to let things settle for a while. They're probably not going to come in and make instant smash moves on the athletic side. So we'll see. I agree with you, though. All right, we're taking a quick break here. We're going to come back. We got a bunch more, including basketball rotations, Andrew Rohde, the Janicki injury. How does that impact things? Top underrated Badgers for Rajiv and I. Again, we're not going to get into every question, but we're going to get into as many of them as we can on today's Locked On Badgers. First, a quick break for our friends of the show over at Mazda.
I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. Dawn Staley and South Carolina remain on top of the SEC standings after handing Tennessee their worst defeat in program history with a final score of 93-40. In the 43-point win, South Carolina shot 69% from the field. Tessa Johnson had a perfect shooting night, scoring 24 points, shooting 4 for 4 from the floor, including 2 threes, and made all 4 of her free throws. And UCLA remains undefeated in Big Ten play, topping Michigan 69-66 as Player of the Year contender Lauren Betts put up a double-double, scoring 16 points, collecting 16 rebounds, and adding 5 assists and 3 blocks. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts the same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
All right, Rajiv, let's continue rolling through some of these questions. Let's hit some basketball ones here. This is from White Marlin. This is a hot take. Hayden Jones will provide more valuable minutes than Janicki, assuming he's indeed hurt for the year, which it did come out. So Jack Janicki, broken wrist. I want to start with that sucks for him. Like I've been frustrated at times with the play. I never want people to get hurt. That's a player that plays hard. He's a great culture player. And I still wanted him to play, right? I still think he brings things from a rotational standpoint, a defensive standpoint. So first of all, that stinks. I never want to see anybody get hurt. To this take, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy with the caveat of I think Janicki is going to give you more defensively than Hayden Jones is this year. I think you're going to see some defensive issues at times, but I just think Hayden can give you something offensively. You saw it a little bit in the last game against Ohio State. You saw an offensive putback. You saw the ability to get into the paint and score a little bit. He had a couple rebounds. I just think you get a little more activity offensively, which is going to help everybody around him. So I think from an ecosystem standpoint, he benefits everybody a little bit more. I'm excited to see what he can do. And let's also be completely frank, Janicki wasn't playing well. So I do think Hayden is going to give you a little bit more. I'm excited to see that part of it.
100% agree. It sucks for Janicki. Never want that to happen. It's a bummer, obviously, but it does, out of that, difficult situation, something else can emerge. And I think Hayden Jones getting more minutes, obviously Braden Carrington's minutes will increase, and all that to me is a good sign. And yeah, we talked about that was the one bright spot in that ridiculous game at Ohio State was Hayden Jones coming out, working hard, playing hard, giving really, really good minutes, 6 points off 4 shots in 10 minutes. Like that was great. It's good numbers. And there's clearly the guy has a higher upside than Jack Janicki, period. Like, and that's just what that is. So in this offensive heavy system, it's one more guy off the bench who can provide offense and get that jolt. If we're having those issues with points, or we're having those scoring droughts, he can kind of jolt that offense. And ultimately, he's very athletic, and I just think he can do more out there. So yeah, for sure, he's going to provide better minutes. And I would have said this before the Janicki injury, and obviously with him going down, he's definitely going to play more. And what we just saw at Ohio State. So yeah, I'm excited to see him play more.
Another note on Hayden Jones. He's also a young player. He's somebody that could be a part of your future. Get him reps now, and he's going to be better off next year. Whereas Janicki, I'm just not sure where 2 years down the road, he might have the Carter Gilmore renaissance, or he might just never. I think Hayden is a guy that you can help build around as part of the core going forward. So I'm excited to get him those reps and get that experience. Joseph Deering, top 5 underrated Badgers since 2000. Since there's two of us, give me a couple. Give me a basketball and a football one. Most underrated Badger since 2000.
Oh boy. Tough one here. On the spot. Okay.
I already got a basketball and football one, so I can
go ahead.
Basketball for me, Michael Flowers. Absolutely love Michael Flowers. That is since 2000, right? Yeah. Great defensive player, brilliant IQ, good shooter, developed over the course of his career. Love Michael Flowers. I don't think he ever gets the credit he deserves. Football, it's Dare Ogunbowale. I thought was a tremendous running back. But because he was a walk-on that converted over, and he was in the midst of all these other great, like all-time-ish type running backs, he kind of gets lost. But he was unbelievable for his career arc and what he did for the Badgers, and he's still in the NFL. Like, he was dynamic in open space, great pass catcher. Those are the first two that popped to my head. If I had to think about it for a day, I might come up with others, but I love Flowers and I love Dare.
Ogunbowale is a great one. That's really good. I'll give you 2 basketball, and then I'll think about football one as well. But first of all, first name always comes to me is Stephen Crowell, just because he's so underappreciated.
So underappreciated.
The other one for me, which he does get a lot of credit, but I still think when he was playing, he just did not get the credit he deserved. And that's Mike Wilkinson, who was one of my all-time favorite Badgers. It's not even close. Like, that guy, if you ask my favorite Badgers of all time, Mike Wilkinson, Devin Harris, those two, and then Jim Leonard. But Mike Wilkinson never gets the credit. And there's a great one, and that Tyler Shears put up there, Isaac Garendo, who was his name. When you said Dari, I was like, ooh, Garendo's a good one there. Yeah, very underrated. Another one that I really liked, Luke Swan was another player that I really, really liked in football. He got an injury, obviously, 1 year that kind of took him down. But he got a slow start in his career at Wisconsin, but when he played, the dude was a fantastic wide receiver that never gets any kind of legitimate credit.
That's a really good one. What about I just lost it. Oh, Preston Zachman. There's one for you.
Oh yeah. Well, I think I certainly give him the credit that he deserves.
I don't think most people did, though. Let's get a couple more comments in here. Again, we're not going to be able to get to all of them, which I appreciate really everybody throwing comments in there. Let me ask you this one, Rajiv. There we go. Where it is. Oh, I missed it. There you go. Nick says, keeping all the players the same on the roster. Would you rather have Steven Crowell on this team at the 5 or Nolan Winter? Everybody else is the same on this year's squad. To me, it's Crowell. I love Winter. I just think Crowell gives you another element offensively and defensively.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would gladly take Steven Crowell on this team. I think everyone would do that. I mean, hey, Chambliss just got another year of eligibility from Ole Miss. Just bring Crowell back. Come on, he doesn't need to play Utah anymore. Or whatever he's just bring him on back. He can play with us in the tournament. I'm sure the NCAA will let that happen, or some court will.
Not at Wisconsin though. They'll deny Wisconsin's waiver, and then then he could go to Ole Miss and apply for it and probably get
the
it.
fact that Chambliss is going to play again, by the way, and we still could not get Nizier Forker in another year of eligibility. What the hell is going on right now in college sports? It's freaking maddening.
Or Michael Mack. Was it Michael Mack, the cornerback from Air Force, that we can never get through either for no real reason? But Chambliss can come back and play. Come on, it's absolutely ridiculous. Basketball question here. What would make this is from Bachelor Football Has a Pulse on the Discord? What would make this season a success versus a failure in your eyes? What do they have to do this year for it to be a success?
Man, I mean, I think it's really time to get to the Sweet 16. I think that's a part for me that because of the issues that Greg Gard has had in the tournament, getting the Sweet 16, sadly, normally a season doesn't really hinge on that becoming a failure or a success. But I think Greg Gard's kind of done it to himself here, where we've had such a lack of success there that now it's sort of incumbent on him to reach the Sweet 16, especially with a team that can score 90 points and can beat the likes of Michigan, Illinois, and Michigan State. So I think that to me is that ultimately where we're at in the Big Ten right now. We're 10-5. We've hit that magic number of 10 in conference. We're going to get some more wins. I think our Big Ten finish, wherever, if it's 12, 13, 14 wins, that to me is a fine and successful season in the conference. The only thing left to do really is to push into the tournament. So yeah, Sweet 16 is a line for me, and it sucks that it has to be the line, but that's what this team has done now. So it's time to get past that first weekend.
So let me ask you a follow-up to that before I answer, because it's difficult. I realize as you're talking about this, I'm tracking. I think it's a really, really well said take. But when we reduce it to a binary failure or success, right? Success or failure in the season, then we're not leaving any gray area. So you're saying get to the round of 32, that's a failure to you.
With this team and with what we've shown, yeah, I think it kind of is. And I did preface it by saying, like, I hate that has to be that way, but that's what the lack of success for the last 5-7 years, that's what this has done. And it shouldn't be like that. And if Bo Ryan's team would have lost on round 32, then we wouldn't have said that, because he hasn't built up that sort of reputation of being a guy that can't win in the tournament. Greg Gard kind of has. And that's why I think this year you got to get over that. You got to get over that hump, because he's done it. We get to the round of 32 all the time, but that's not good enough. You've got to take the next step.
I think, to me, and I hear what you're saying, I think to me, if you get to the round of 32, in general, when you really zoom out, it's a successful season. I hear all the points, and Tyler Strieber says success is a Sweet 16. Winning Gambler says Greg Gard has never gotten to the Sweet 16 with his own recruits, has to get there. I think there's so many things that happen in March, from seeding to injuries to just randomness, man. Like these are still young men and college kids. A dude can wake up with a hangover. I'm sorry. Like so many weird things happen that if you get into the round of 32, meaning you're one of the 32 nominally best teams in college basketball, one of 32 last remaining in the top 10 percentile of the country. I mean, that's the top 10 percentile of Division I. To me, that's a successful season. Am I incredibly happy about it? No, of course not. Like, don't get me wrong. I want a Sweet 16 run. I want an Elite 8 run. For gosh sake, my podcast could use that, right? I look at Indiana's numbers in the middle of their football run. I'm like, I could use some Locked On Indiana numbers. So I would love it. Ultimately, you make a round of 32. I do think it's a successful season. I understand your point completely, though.
And that's fair. And that is a good point, because like obviously the Big Ten season is sort of the pinnacle of it. And that has been for the most part successful. So if they lose in the first round, Brian, then where are you at with that?
Oh man.
Failure now?
So, yeah, I think so.
And that's because you're right about seeding. Like obviously we could end up being a 6-7 seed, a 6 seed. We're not going to be favored to go to the Sweet 16, obviously. But you lose in the first round, then you've got this same bugaboo in the tournament again. And that's where those start to pile up. those James Madison games like this. You got to win those games. And that's why for me, it's Sweet 16. But I hear you on the round of 32, but I think, if they lose that first round, then you've hinged it on that one game again, but it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, to your point, and it's a really good point, and I realize I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth here, but I think in that first round, you're going to be the favorite. You got to win that first round matchup. You're most likely going to be the favorite, and you don't always hit on a Boyd. That's the other part of it. You have to capitalize when you do. And now I feel like I'm talking my way into saying round of 32 is not a success. But that is the other point. And these are good discussions. Good discussions shouldn't have binary yes or no. There should be gray area and middle ground that you talk about and figure out. Ultimately, I'm generally going to be okay. We have a good coach if my coach consistently gets us into the round of 32, because I do think there's an element of just you got to load your gun up with bullets and you got to keep shooting it. And if you keep getting in the round of 32, eventually you're going to shoot your way through. I do think that Lute Olson was a bad coach until he won a title. He won one, right? And now he's like a legend. Bo Ryan didn't win a title, but for a long time, this was his thing. And Bo Ryan's one of the greatest coaches ever. Would he have not been one of the greatest coaches ever if he didn't punch his way to a Final Four? I think he would still be one of the greatest coaches ever. There's just this element of randomness and luck in March. And some of it is luck you make. I'm talking on both sides of this, Virginia.
Yeah, it's fair. It is a very gray area argument for sure.
I agree. Let's get one or two more. And Rajiv, you got time for one or two? We're not going to get all.
For sure.
Okay. Badger South. Will Wisconsin ever have a men's dynasty to rival the women's hockey team? No. I just don't. Unless you're talking some obscure sport, no. That women's hockey and what women's volleyball is becoming, those are like Bama in football and Duke in basketball. There's no men's team that's going to do that, man. I don't see it. And that's a hat tip to what the women do, but it's also acknowledging how difficult of a climb that is.
Yeah, dynasty means winning multiple titles and championships. Like if you could say that, if you define dynasty as what Bo Ryan did, which was finishing in the top 4 of the conference for multiple years in a row, winning multiple Big Ten titles. If you qualify it as that, then I would say, yes, we'll have something. But if you qualify it as a true dynasty, which is winning national titles, which the hockey team has certainly done, no way, man. That's just not going to happen here. It's probably not going to happen anywhere within the men's sports, just because they're so competitive and there's so much money involved now. So yeah, I would have to say no to that, sadly.
We'll get 2 more quick ones in. White Marlin, what's your take on the rap turnaround? Is this for real? Want him starting again, or do you like him where he's at, Rajiv?
So I think the rap turnaround is real because we knew this was in him all the time. But as we all know, confidence is everything in sports. And he's playing with a level of confidence that is incredible right now. And it's making his game better. We've talked about how his defensive game is better because he's playing harder. He's playing more confident. That he didn't just become a good defender overnight. He's just playing stronger basketball, right? So I do think it's real. I don't necessarily want him starting because I feel like it's okay to have that bench production. If he did start, I don't care either way, but I'm fine leaving him where he is. He needs to get the minutes, which I think he's going to get starter minutes. So that's fine. And I like the fact that you can get Carrington and Rapp off the bench and instantly you have really, really good production. That's good to me. So I'm fine with it as it is. But yeah, I think it's definitely for real. And he's a critical piece of what we're doing right now.
Yeah, that's well said. I think it's for real too. And I'll just add one thing. I think some of what I agree with everything you said. I would dovetail one piece onto it is I think some of the turnaround is just young players get better. I say this all the time. We live in such just a quick twitch world for everything, for politics, for money, for fads, for anger, for commentary. We forget that these are young players. And it's like, whoa, why are you not, listen, I think you and I are guilty of this at times too. Why are you not contributing right away? Well, maybe because he's a sophomore and last year he played at a lower level and we're halfway through his first season in the Big Ten. And now he's playing better and we're trying to find a deep reason for why. I think he's just a young player acclimating. So I do think it's real. I also agree with your point. We thought it was in there. I think we're seeing it. I have been consistent on my point. I don't really care who starts, but I'm getting a little more to the point of I care now because the slow starts seem consistent. So maybe.
But the slow starts have gotten better though.
They have, but maybe I wouldn't hate to see a starting lineup of Winter or Boyd, Blackwell, Carrington, Rapp, and Winter. And see what that 5 does out of the gate. So moving Carrington up because of what he's done, and then moving Rapp up because of what he's done. When he's been healthy, and certainly he was sick last game, so who knows? Maybe this is a moot point. But I would like to see that unit maybe start a game, Rajiv.
The problem is that's your bench scoring, 0. Like at that point, are you getting any scoring off the bench, which you need because you need those fresh legs? That's my only concern with that. But yeah, listen, you're right. Like that lineup, that's their best lineup right now. Those are the best 5 on the floor at this point. But I also think that having Rhodey in there to begin is fine with me because sometimes he does. He had a bad game against Ohio State, but he's had a lot of good games for us. He can see the floor really well. He can kind of penetrate and dish out. Like I like his passing, so I'm okay with this staying there. But if you move Rhodey and Biliauskas to the bench, you got no punch coming off the bench.
That's a fair point. Now maybe that empowers Rhodey a little bit to shoot more. Like there is a chance that Rapp going to the bench, I think, got him going a little bit. Maybe getting Rhodey out of that starting lineup. Now, and you tell him, hey, now you come in, you kind of run the bench squad a little bit. You come in, you can shoot a little more. We want you to be more aggressive. That might be a trigger to get him going, but I hear your point on it too.
Yeah,
bench
that's a good point.
All right, we're going to wrap it there. Again, I kept Rajiv for a few more minutes than I was supposed to. I do want to point out Tyler Streamer mentions that round of 32 is the high floor you always love, Rajiv.
That's not a very fair point, but and here's what I would say to this, Tyler. If he made some Sweet 16s, I wouldn't have this opinion. Because like if he was a guy that like got us there sometimes, it's fine. Then yeah, I do like the high floor. And I still am very in on Greg Gard. But you got to get over that hump with some kind of regularity or any kind of regularity.
That's very fair. Very, very, very well said. And Winning Gambler says Sweet 16 is a success with Bo, Greg Gard, or anyone. Yeah, I think we both agree. You get to the Sweet 16 in any given year, that is a very good basketball season. All right, we're going to wrap it there. Thank you for tuning in on a Friday. Sorry the show was a little late. I was traveling, but definitely glad to get Rajiv on. Justin was going to join, but Justin chose dinner over hanging with Rajiv and I. So there is that. We'll give him crap for it later. On Wisconsin, thank you so much, and we will definitely talk more tomorrow.